Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob, getting ready to talk about that D-line.
Oh, we went right from tight ends last time to D-line. I'm not going to make the joke.
Oh, it was already made. Insert a comment now.
Insert what? Anyway, guys.
Insert it.
We're going to be adults. So today we're going to go over what has been one of the strongest positions the last 20, 30 years, really, with the Giants there. Whether it be some of the great, 4-3 defenses we had as far as the pass rush, or whether it's the 3-4 systems where we've had, just great defensive tackles. For some reason, it's the one position that the Giants can seem to scout very well and do very well in the draft on. So obviously we're in the 3-4 now. So we got the D-line here to go over with you guys. And this is a much different group than it was a year ago there, mostly because of the disappearance of one man. Not like he disappeared into the milk carton. We know where he is. He's in Seattle. But let's go over who we have left on the defensive lineup here. So, of course, you can't talk about the defensive line without mentioning basically the most dominant Giant we have on the entire roster. I think it's a pretty safe statement to say there on this guy. That is the man, the myth, the legend, sexy Dexy himself, Dexter Lawrence. Oh yeah, I gotta do the dance. Do the dance. Make a little love.
Make a little tackle.
Get down tonight.
Back down tonight.
I think if he did like a song during it'd be spectacular. I'm just saying. I don't know if he can sing or not. I'm just saying. I can. We still do it.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Go for it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. So last season, Dexter Lawrence was nothing short of absolutely amazing, guys. He goes from being the best Giant last, in 22 at that point, part of the big resurgence of, our playoff run at that point there, to still somehow kicking it up a notch, as Emeril Lagasse says. 16 games, all starts, of course, 53 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 21 QB hits, 7 tackles for loss, 2 passes defended there. He was 9th place, guys, in Defensive Player of the Year voting. That's how good he was, and it's kind of sad to a degree when you look at just the stats, because my concern is Dexter Lawrence is one of those guys that later on, as time goes by, 20, 30 years, and you got the youngins that are babes now and didn't get a chance to necessarily see Dexter Lawrence play in his prime. I feel like he's one of those guys it's not going to show how good he is, because look at the stat book and they go, okay, 4.5 sacks, really? Like, it's not, he doesn't have the impressive stat line. What he has is the impressive gameplay, which, let's be very frank, is much more important than the stat line. The guy had a 92.9 PFF grade, guys. That's insanely high. He was AP second team All-Pro, voted again to the Pro Bowl, second consecutive year there. Also second consecutive year for the AP second team All-Pro. I mean, the guy's just a freaking beast. And he's all over the field. Whenever a play's happening and something good happened, Dexter Lawrence is probably not far from it, guys.
He's doing some kind of dance. He's doing a belly shake.
When a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau gets sacked because Dexter Lawrence created pressure up the middle and made the guy go out of the pocket, Dexter Lawrence doesn't get any credit for that. He should. No. He should make an assist like in hockey.
Yeah, right? That's what I say. It's sack.
Sack assist sounds a little weird, but it's whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. There should be something. There should be something to give him a little credit beyond just the pressure or the hurry or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, there should be something to say, hey, you made this play, and that was good because now he got the quarterback. but also in the running game. The guy's a great run defender. And he, you got to wonder, especially with Saquon gone now, is Dexter Lawrence now officially the face of the franchise?
Ooh, that's a pretty good question.
Yeah. I mean, Saquon was clearly the last couple of years, let's be honest here. He was
100%.
the face of the franchise. He was the guy that when you wanted somebody to come up to the podium and talk on behalf of the players, it was Saquon. He was the star. But you look at typically, you look at guys like quarterback, obviously Daniel Jones, not going to be the face of the franchise. They don't really want his face around the franchise next year. Running back Devin Singletary is not nearly the star Saquon was.
No, not at all.
Neighbors has never even caught a ball in the NFL yet. He could be later on this year, depending on how things go, kind of like OBJ was in his rookie year, depending on what kind of year he has. But then you go to defense. Dexter Lawrence is the best player on that side of the ball. Who's going to be? Is it Graham Gannett the face of the franchise?
Yes.
Jamie Killam, the Scottish Hammer. I'm just saying, he's very well likely the face of the franchise at this point. There, he's definitely the best player on the roster. I think that's a very safe statement to make. I would even say last year he was the best player over Saquon. So
I would say that every game.
So we talked about it when he signed the contract, and it's funny because we didn't talk about it as much when DJ did. Let's be very frank. We talked about when Dexter signed the contract of there was a little bit of nerves because he was coming off of one really good year, and is this a little early to pay this guy? There was risk involved. We didn't hate it necessarily. We acknowledged the risk that was inherent in giving a guy a huge payday after one really good year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we saw both sides of the coin.
Exactly
how that works. But this paid off because otherwise, if we had to pay this guy this year,
and that's what we said. I remember on the show we said that too. We're like, you know what? There's a risk to signing the guy after 1 year of dominant play, but if you wait till he does it again, the price goes up. And it would have. He would have been closer to $25 million a year instead of the $20 million a year he got. $5 million is a big difference. $5 million is the difference between us getting or not getting John Running Jr. or Jermaine Illuminor. Not getting a help we need on the offensive line, perhaps.
Or a running back core.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a difference there. There's a big, it's a bigger chunk of change that people like to admit on an NFL roster there. So obviously, as much as Joe Shane gets crap for the DJ contract, and I get why. Obviously, he deserves a little love and a little kudos for the contracts he gave out to Dexter Lawrence and, for that matter, Andrew Thomas. I was unaware he was the Atlanta Brave GM back in the 90s.
I was going to
say. But I mean, it's like I said, the 2 out of 3 contracts were pretty good. Yeah. Like Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So, but he's dead now. What does he know? Too soon?
Definitely not football.
So yeah, again, I expect Dexter Lawrence now to have another dominant season. He didn't really slow down after Leonard Williams got traded halfway through the season there to the Seahawks. So that was the one biggest concern I had about making that trade. I'm like, okay, now you made Dexter Lawrence the only good player in that line, basically. Because I wasn't a huge fan of A'Shawn Robinson. Wasn't a bad player, don't get me wrong.
No, he wasn't, but
he was an average player.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if he had a clone on it called Mediocrity by Calvin Klein.
You smell not bad.
Not bad by Dior. But yeah, I mean,
not bad.
No, and that's like I said, it's a fair statement, I think, to what A'Shawn Robinson is. And hell, there's a lot of players worse than him. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm saying he wasn't bad. He just wasn't Leonard Williams.
No.
And that's what he's going to get compared to, because once Leonard Williams left, A'Shawn Robinson was now the second best defensive lineman we had. So, but like I said, he did very well. So I expect him to continue to do very well this year, be another dominant force. And what's going to be really interesting this year is we'll get to the edge, obviously. That'll be our next group we do after this. But listen, guys, once you push people at the pocket, there's nowhere to run this year. Cave on one side and Brian Burns on the other.
You're going to get burned.
I know Kayvon's still in the learning process. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be, an interesting thing there, especially because if Aziz stays healthy too and he can run all three of them. Woo! Say what you want about Aziz. He has trouble staying healthy, but that guy gets rolling towards the quarterback. Yeah. And Dexter Lawrence is a big part of that because what he does is he pushes the pocket. He makes the quarterback uncomfortable where he can't just sit there and wait for someone to get open. And it's like I said, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. It's one of those kind of players, That's what he is. Where you don't see it on that stat sheet, you see to the game. So,
yeah,
all righty. Next up, guys.
Ooh.
Rakeem Nunez-Roches, a.k.a. Nacho. Now, Nacho is an interesting topic here because I got to say, as much as I was rooting hard for the guy, because like I said a couple times in the show before, I met the guy once before, really nice guy. He had a really off year, guys. Let's be frank and let's call it what it is. He's 30 years old now. He had 16 games last year, 4 starts, 26 tackles, 1 tackles for loss, 1 QB hit, just half a sack, a 46.3 PFF score, guys. That's bad. It's pretty obvious we knew going into it that he's not a guy who was going to get to the quarterback very much. But what he is also is a big guy supposed to help clock the middle. I mean, 6'2", 307 pounds. He's not a fast guy though. He's the guy that just plants his feet, and his job is to stop the running back and go and by him. That's his job.
He reminds me of the steamroller from Austin Powers. Move, get out of the way.
Is that because you saw his 40 time of 5.02?
Exactly why.
That's literally his speed. Like I say, he's not a fast guy, but he's a big guy. He's not supposed to be fast, But yeah, I mean, if he doesn't get better this year, guys, we're gonna be in some trouble. I gotta say it point blank like that. We're gonna be in some trouble. As much as we're joking around when we talked about, Dexter Lawrence, saying that A'Shawn Robinson was the epitome of mediocrity because he's an average player. Rakeem Nunez-Roches was under average. He was below average. So,
yeah, exactly.
But he's got a track record. He does have a track record. I mean, he was drafted back in 2017, guys. He's been around a little while. It's not like this is his first, second year we go. I don't know what kind of player he is. He had an off year. I'm really hoping that's all it is.
As I say, a lot of players have done that through their careers.
Exactly. Now, on top of that, that was his only year in Wink Martindale's defense. Maybe he had an issue with the scheme fit.
Could be.
Got a brand new defense, system coming in now with this new defensive coordinator. So, we'll see what's going to happen. I'm holding out optimism for Nacho, but I'm also holding out a minimal amount of optimism. Like, I'm willing to give him a couple games, see if he turns a corner. If he doesn't, I'm going to go, yeah, because we're going to be in trouble. We need him. This is a very thin group compared to last year, guys. And it's all because of, again, we mentioned the Leonard Williams move at that point. This was a strength on this roster. I'm not so sure you can call it a strength here, but it wasn't for Dexter Lawrence at this point. You can still call because you still have, the best, if not the second best, depending on what you want to call Chris Jones and him as far as defensive tackles in this league. But that's about all you got. Nacho's got to step it up, guys. He's got to step it up. If we're going to have a really good season this year, we need him to step it up.
Otherwise, there's a lot of nachos being thrown around into the stadiums.
So, we're looking for you, Nacho. We're looking for you. Step it up. Step it up.
Step it up. Step it up. Nacho, begin.
Put the chip in the bowl and go for a spin.
There we go. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go here.
Oh yeah.
I started it.
There we go. I finished that. I freestyle like Bunny Rabbit. All right. Next up, guys. DJ Davidson. And this is a guy, guys, we may have to count on. We may have to count on him a little more than we necessarily expected to, because
I would like to.
Yeah, I don't want to. Like, honestly, this group has me more depressed almost than anybody else. It's like, here's a guy we drafted, 2 drafts ago now, Shane's first draft, 5th round pick. Everybody at the time we drafted him said basically Shane just wanted to get a defensive tackle and just took whoever was available that kind of reached for the position. I don't know if he reached or not. I don't pretend to say that kind of stuff is true because I'm not in the war room.
Yeah.
What I can tell you, though, is he's just not a very good player so far based on what he's done. And he wasn't necessarily a great player in college. But he's still 26 years old. He's still young. Maybe he learns something. Maybe he figures things out. Hopefully he does, obviously. So overall, 6'3", 327 pounds. 15 games last year, 2 starts, 13 tackles, half a sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, and 2 passes deflected, a 51.6 PFF grade. So, yeah, I mean, a little below average, but not bad as a backup. Problem is, he might not be a backup.
But it's problem is to kind of need him to step up to bring his A game, and
like somebody's had to step it up and be that third starter. It's going to be Dexter Lawrence. It's going to be Nacho. Obviously, we got that. We got to get that third person. DJ Davidson, who a lot of people expect him to kind of step it up a little there and become that third guy. I think we're asking a lot of him.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's.
You might see a little bit more of the other guy, but we'll see. The next guy we're going to talk about, but
we'll see. That's issues there as well. There's a lot of issues in this episode, guys. So, but yeah, DJ Davidson's a guy that if he could step it up and become even an average defensive lineman in this league, guys,
that's all he needs to be.
That's all he needs to be. He's Dexter Lawrence. He doesn't need to be spectacular. We already have spectacular. Just need mediocre. Be the Ashawn Robinson.
Pretty much,
which is cheaper. But yeah, I mean, if he can do that, it's a huge difference to this defensive line, because when you put 2 average guys next to a really, really good guy, you got a good line.
Makes the average.
It averages that well. It averages that well still.
Yeah, it makes the average guys look a lot better.
Oh, that it does too. Yeah, frees them up, and that's part of what it's going to be like. It's just, and I wonder if that's part of the thinking. We got Dexter Lawrence. He makes everybody else around him look better. We don't need to We don't need to go ahead and get great free agents or pay any money to anybody for defensive line. In the end, I'm still a firm believer of you win in the trenches, and I don't just mean that from the perspective of offensive line. It's also the defensive line. Now, obviously, that extends to the edge room, and we got a big edge rusher this offseason. So that's obviously where they spent their money, but DJ Davidson's got to step it up, or else his defensive line could be in a lot of trouble, guys. Next up, Jordon Phillips, who is obviously in our photo there, doing a little jazzercise during the game. And 1 hand, and 2 hands, and 3 hands, and 1 hand.
And 2 hands.
And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. You like turn your neck too, get the full range going.
Exercise the demons.
It's time to exercise the demons.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you I want to do an exercise video as a joke about that? It'd be hilarious.
It'd be fantastic.
You have a priest at the pulpit, and there's a whole bunch of demons in the church in the audience at that point. It's time to exercise the demons. And 10 jumping Jackson. This is the stupid shit I think. Anyway, Jordan Phillips here. He's now the resident senior citizen of the defensive line room here at 31 years old. It just sounds ridiculous when you say it that way. Like you think of people 31, that's old for the NFL, but then you go, 31's kind of young overall. Anyway, 6'6", 341 pounds. So yeah, he's a big boy. Longtime Buffalo Bill, obviously. Been around the league for, like I said, for quite some years now. And this is a guy that, again, Buffalo history there. So you got some of the, connections between Dable and Shane, even though he wasn't there necessarily with it. Don't tell me they didn't get the scouting report from the guys that were there the last couple of years. Cardinals before that. Spent a little bit of time in 19 with the Buffalo Bills and a little bit of 18 too as well. So Dolphin before that. I mean, like I said, yeah, he's been around since 2015, guys. This is going to be his 10th year in the league. So that's pretty impressive. You make it that long in the league, you're doing something right. So,
at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about right there. You can make it that long in the league. 10 years is that milestone, basically, and he's about to hit it there. Now,
everyone wants to advance their career. Don't be the best where you put yourself in the spotlight and you don't get the best pay, and don't be the worst. Be the middle of the pack.
Be mediocre, like Ashawn Robinson.
Yes.
Poor Ashawn Robinson. We're like knocking this guy left and right. He left us too. So screw him. So he had his best year actually with Buffalo. Back in 2019, he had 9.5 sacks there that year. In 16 games, only 9 starts. I mean, the guy was a pass rush guy, 100%, 31 tackles. That's it. 16 QB hits, 13 tackles for loss. That was his best season ever. Those, like I said, it was quite some time ago. Last year, 14 games, 15 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss. 2.5 sacks, I should say, which are technically tackles for loss. 2 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits, and 5 passes deflected. Only a 35.8 PFF grade, guys. Like, that's really bad. Really bad. And a lot of what it boils down to is, again, if you look at what I told you a minute ago, when he had his best season was 19 with 9.5 sacks. Only had 31 tackles. Only had, didn't go crazy. Just had good sacks. He's a good pass rushing defensive lineman. That's what he is. Like a 3-4 defensive lineman that can pass rush. And there's not a lot that can do that. Dexter Lawrence is one of the rarities. But I think this is a guy that what you probably do is you probably rotate him and DJ Davidson, to be honest with you, at least in the beginning. You know fully what you want to do. DJ Davidson on what you think is a regular down or a running down. Jordan Phillips goes on there when you want to do a passing down at that point there. And he'll create some pass rush there for you. That's what he does well. If you ask him to do things he doesn't do well, guess what's going to happen?
He doesn't do it well.
He's not going to do them well. Exactly. So, I'm a firm believer in you can find players that don't necessarily fit everything you want to do, but do some things very well. And you just make that their role. There are plenty of people that, let's be frank, in the NFL suck at everything. What do you have, Neil? Listen, he's never going to live down the brewery comment. It's never going to happen. But
let me flip this for you.
Yeah, but in the end, you can learn what people do well. You can use the talent they have. Obviously, you're paying them for it. So like that, it sounded wrong the way you can use and abuse them. But it's like you can use them for the talent that they have and say, you know what? Listen, you do this really well. I need you to step up this part. You don't do this over here very well, though. So we're going to try to minimize our time with you on this. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. You
play to the strengths of your players. They're going to make them look a lot better than what they are.
Exactly. And that's one of the things Dable preached when he first got here, especially talking about Daniel Jones and the offense. But that same exact mentality has to also apply to the defense. And Jordan Phillips does things in the pass rush that a lot of people that are on the NFL rosters can't do. So let him do what he can do and does well. And then let somebody else go in when it's not his time. Because if you put him in there and expect things to happen like that, you're going to be disappointed, guys. It's not what he does.
Yeah.
So let's get to our next New York Giant here. And that is Ryder Anderson. And
Ryder on
Ryder's
the storm.
I was thinking the Doors too. Do.
Ryder on the storm.
You know what I love about the Doors songs? That randomly in Oregon starts playing for 10 minutes for no apparent reason.
Yeah, well, they already paid the guy once for the album, so you might as well put him on the rest of the songs.
Seriously. Oh my god. I swear it's like they so like use the organ more than the Blue Oyster Cult uses the cowbell.
That's a true statement. That's a very fair point. And but
listen, analysis you only get here on Two Giant Goofballs in your Giants podcast.
And listen, Blue Oyster Cult, the cult, they know more cowbell.
Yes. Can't steam more cowbell. Anyway, again, Ryder Anderson, 6'6", 276 pounds there. Been on the roster there for a couple of years now. Made his debut with us back in 22. 7 games, 2 starts, had 2 sacks, 8 tackles overall, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. Didn't appear in a single game in 23. Kind of interesting, I thought, because listen, if you're going to tell me you're going to be in a few games, you're going to get a couple sacks, get a couple tackles, QB hits, blah, blah, blah. It's not a bad, for the limited sample size that we saw of Ryder Anderson, it wasn't bad. But we didn't see him increase at all, his time as that season went on and on. Obviously he had the triceps injury last summer and almost had a season-ending surgery at that point. Instead, spent time in the IR, spent time on the practice squad. Ends up getting another shot here to get some more time. And I think the Giants like this kid. I really do think they like him. I think they're just not quite sure yet what to do with him and what his ceiling is. He's somebody that if a guy like DJ Davidson has trouble stepping it up, Ryder Anderson's got the chance to take that spot and be that guy that they circulate in and out there with Jordan Phillips there. Because he's got kind of similar skills to DJ Davidson, I feel like. But he's got a little better of a pass rush, a little more leveled out. But he's a whole lot better of a run stopper than Jordan Phillips. Who, let's be frank, I'm a better run stopper than Jordan Phillips. I'm just probably not. No.
Yeah.
We won't go that ridiculous
until they come at you.
Yeah, won't be that ridiculous. He's a big guy. I don't get pissed off. but yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what to expect of Ryder Anderson though, because I feel like he's had some decent practice time with the Giants. We haven't really gotten to see him much in a game. And again, the injury was really the thing that killed him last year. So it wasn't like he got much of a shot at that point there. I'm kind of curious to see what he does in camp. I really am. Because he's still young. Again, George, 25 years old. That there's guys coming out of the draft that are 25 years old. Like, sadly, yeah. Be honest here. I mean, I think Mel Brooks got drafted in this year. I mean, we're talking. That's how old some of the people are. Yeah. He's got to be in the 90s. That guy now.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I'm curious to see what happens. I do think him and DJ Davidson's the guys to keep an eye on for that third spot. And like I said, I do think Jordan Phillips comes in and takes over some of those reps too as well. It could also end up being where DJ Davidson, Ryder Anderson, and Jordan Phillips all kind of move around there. You might even throw Nacho and give him a break. The big guy we need to go ahead and play at all times is Dexter Lawrence. I'm sorry, Dexter Lawrence. You can't take any plays off.
Every
You're
snap.
you're the only solid guy we have on that whole defensive line at this point. It's kind of sad. Like I said, considering how many good players we've had the last couple of years there on that position. There's not a lot of positions that have been a position of strength for the Giants. That's one that has.
No.
Let's call it like it is. So
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up, Jordon Riley. Of course, the draft pick from last season there, 25 years old. See, he's still 25 too as well. So, again, another guy that they drafted late. When they drafted him, pick 245. I remember everybody going, who? Like, this was one of those guys that Joe Shane just likes people that Joe Shane likes. That's what it boils down to. And he doesn't always like the same people as what the pundits and the people that look at this stuff on a regular basis think. Last year, 8 games, 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. That's where he's at. 33.1 PFF score. Not good. So
Not good at all.
Again, what are you expecting out of a 7th round pick?
Who
That's
was
what it boils down to.
preseason hero last year, but
I'm saying that's where he's at. And he was. You're not wrong from that. During the preseason, he was that guy. Same as
everyone.
Darren Waller was a unicorn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the rule. Anything that happens during the training camp that all the people that are watching say it's gonna be the way it is. Like, well, we know now what's not going to happen.
It's gonna be the opposite. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Appreciate the heads up on what's not gonna happen this year. But Jordon Riley is gonna get a shot this year. And I'm telling you, I think he's that guy that is on that cusp where I think the Giants are to keep an eye to improve this squad over the whole year.
I think so. They're going to look at players down the line, and we'll talk about that shortly.
Well, there's also not just players that are available now, but you're going to see cut day. You're going to see a few guys added onto that group potentially. And Jordon Riley may be in trouble, or he may be a practice squad guy. Because I'm just not sure you saw anything last year that goes, Jordon Riley looked pretty good in that game. Looked pretty good in that play, even.
Goodness, tight. I mean, what?
We're men.
Manly men.
Tights. We're rough and the rich and give to the poor. That's right. But yeah, I mean, this is it's rare in a second year you go, this is a really important year for this kid. But that's where we're at. He's going to have to step it up there for a shot against the playing time. He's going to have to step it up if he wants to even stay in the active roster potentially. Because once cut day happens, guys, there's going to be people available. And I think that's one of the positions you're going to see them potentially looking at the end of preseason going, you know what? We need a body here. We need a legit body. Who's going to cut somebody? Who's going to not quite make the cut there? So Jordon Riley's got to step it up at that point if he wants to continue his NFL career. Because picks, around 7 picks, they don't always make it long in the NFL. Sometimes they get stuck in the practice squad. So, yeah. So, all right, we got one more player, guys.
Ooh.
One more. Timmy Horne. And if you remember Timmy, we got him last year from the Falcons. He was combined between the two teams, 4 games, 4 tackles, 1 pass deflected, and a 46.0 PFF score. So
fantastic year.
Yeah, again, this is what I keep saying. You notice the thing here, this is not yet. It's not a good year for us right now for defensive line. These guys right now may all make the roster if we don't make changes. That's the kind of scary thing. It's not just a bad group; it's a thin group.
Correct.
So
I was going to say that as well. Is that we will have issues if all of these players make the rosters. Like we already said, we will. Yeah, huge. Not the biggest, but huge. but I mean, if we don't pick someone up from after cuts from preseason, there are issues.
Yeah, I mean, I fully think that's what's going to see happen here. And again, Timmy's a guy you bring in for depth piece when you need him. That's what we did last year. Brought him along to at least have him be a camp body this year, but he's the camp body guy. This is not a guy that you're expecting to be an integral part of your defensive line. So, unless something changes his offseason, all of a sudden he's playing great. So that doesn't happen very often.
No, but it could.
It could. You never know. Stranger things have happened, but like I said, I think this is a guy that probably going to be walking the streets come October, November, maybe even September. It all depends on who becomes available, because Joe Schoen has shown, if anything, and he may not be willing to make massive splashes midseason, but he's a guy that continues to look to improve the roster during the season. Like 2 years ago, we needed a wide receiver. He got Isaiah Hodgins. May not have the greatest 23, but his sure cars a spark in 22. That's for damn sure.
100%. He was best receiver in the second half.
Yeah. And you notice whenever we had issues at kicker, he kept having guys and they're ready to go. There was no issue. Didn't miss a beat. Don't get me wrong, they weren't as good as Graham Gano, but we didn't have issues replacing him either. So, like I said, Timmy's got to be a little careful there, and got to really have an impressive camp probably to make this roster. Alrighty, so as we talk about things and kind of, be a little bit of the Debbie Downer here at that point. We're definitely being the little Debbie Downer. We're going to also discuss here, should we add a free agent? The short answer is hell yes. To be honest, this is one of the most worrisome positions on the roster.
Or C, that's even shorter.
2 words, 2 letters. So let's go over who we got here, and usually I kind of save the best for last, so to speak here. But we're going to go right into it. The guy that I personally would love for us to have on the New York Giants. I don't want to speak for you, Rob, but I think you probably wouldn't mind having him either. The ageless wonder himself, Calais Campbell, who's now 37 years old. I can't believe he's still playing to the level he's playing. Last year, he's playing with the Atlanta Falcons there. This is before they were collecting quarterbacks like Pokemon. 47 tackles last year, 7 sacks, 17 QB hits, 10 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflected, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and an 80.0 PFF score. How this guy is still walking the streets, I don't get it. Unless he's waiting for the right opportunity, like he's waiting for somebody like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, I hate to say the Eagles, somebody, an Niners, somebody he thinks has got a chance
win a ring with or something.
Chase a ring, yeah. Unless that's what he's waiting for. But if I'm Joe Schoen, I would have already picked up the phone and found out. Guys like him don't get paid a lot. And I don't mean that because he's not good. I mean because he's 37 years old, and at some point, that's going to stop. With our luck, it'd be the year we sign him, because we've talked about him the last couple of years as being somebody to potentially sign. But last year he made $4 million, guys. You tell me we can't find $4 million? Hell, I'll find $6-7 million to pay this guy.
Oh, he'll do it.
He's a 1-year stopgap. 1-year stopgap is not a bad thing right now, because when you get a guy like that, you got the next year to go ahead and try to find a young guy to take his spot. And hell, if he wants a 2-year deal, I give it to him. I would. I know it sounds crazy, but I would. That was a really good year. And if he drops off talent-wise that hard, guys, he'll retire. This guy has a lot of pride in what he does. He's not going to hang around for the paycheck.
Yeah, I doubt that.
No, that's not who his personality is whatsoever. So,
and that's why he's probably still available. Like you nailed him. He's just waiting to get picked up by a team and try to get a ring. The paycheck at this point is he's made his money.
Yeah,
he wants to be known.
I think. Yeah, I mean that's really what I think is going on. I think he's waiting just for that right fit. Again, Joe Schoen, pick up the phone if you haven't already. Find out who it is. We need this guy. We need him. Honestly, from there, it doesn't look good, guys.
No.
Next up, Hassan Ridgeway, who spent last year with the Texans, only played in 3 games, had 4 tackles, at a 47.4 PFF grade. He's 29 years old. Now, obviously, those stats don't seem amazing. So you're probably like, what the hell? Why would you want to get this guy? Again, he's not my number one, but he's played in 80 career NFL games in 8
A lot better
seasons.
than
Yeah,
a lot better than Jordon Riley, a lot better than Timmy Horne, a lot better than your Ryder Anderson combined.
And he's still 29 years old. He's not that old, but he's not Calais Campbell over here. But I mean, he's still played in a good amount of games. Had 20 starts in his career. This is a guy that you could have as a backup defensive lineman. That legit is a backup defensive lineman in this league at that point. Another option is this guy, Lawrence guy, who played last year, of course, with the Patriots. 38 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, had a 45.5 PFF grade. And he's another guy who's just that seasoned veteran kind of guy there. He's been in the league since 2012. So he's getting a little older. He's going to be 34 this season. But he's been 177 games, started 122 games. You just got to see what he's got left in the tank at this point. He's probably going to be a guy that is a rotational piece. But the nice thing about rotational pieces is twofold. One, they're cheap. And B, they don't completely stop your young guys from learning.
Correct.
If anything, it helps because you can take him out after a play at that point and then go talk to him, put him back in.
Yeah. Hey, this is what you could have done. This is what you could have done different. Try this next time. Yeah. Boom.
Exactly. So like I said, nothing wrong with that as long as you can get a guy cheap enough there. But that's the perfect kind of guy if you want to have that kind of role. Another guy we have available is Brian Monet. Last year, 13 games. You make me feel. Last year, I shouldn't say last year. Last year didn't play at all. This is back in 22, I should say. 13 games, 25 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 QB hit, 28 years old. Sat out all of last year with a knee injury. That doesn't scream Giant. I don't know what does.
100% does.
But I mean, prior to that, he spent 4 seasons in Seattle, 41 games overall, 8 starts. He's proven to be a legit backup defensive lineman piece.
And do you know what happened to him?
Again, we're not going to get studs this late in the season. I know people might say, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Money's injury was an ACL, so it screams Giants. By the way, just so you know, non-football related.
ACL, wasn't an ACL? Right? I didn't look that deep into it. I didn't look
not tear injury.
He set out the year because of that. Yeah, I mean, but the nice thing is, at the same point, is that again he sat out the whole year. So obviously the injury happened very early on. So it's not like one of these guys that hurts himself in December and try to sign him and hope that by the end of the year they play.
Pray for the best.
So, exactly. All right, we got one more guy, another ageless wonder, who, let's be honest, is not playing nearly as well as Linville as Calais Campbell is. I almost gave away who it is. And that's our old buddy Linville Joseph, who we drafted way back when in the second round of 2010, was a really good player for us, and then ends up getting a nice contract. Well, at least it was a nice contract at the time, but now it's like a backup contract from the Vikings, and ends up getting a couple Pro Bowls. So spent the last couple of seasons there, just kind of floating around from team to team. Was in Buffalo last year, Philly the year before that, 2 years with the Chargers there. So he doesn't have a lot in the tank, guys, at this point. Let's be very frank with that. But what he still is he's still a long-term veteran who plays smart. And more than anything else, he's still big. This wasn't the guy that was a little tiny guy that rushed the passer. He was way before that. He was the old school, I stand here, you can't get by me kind of guy.
Yeah, 323 pounds. Right.
Yeah, 6'4" on top of that. He's a big guy at that point. Last year with the Bills, 7 games, 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, just a 38.8 PFF score. if you bring him on, you're bringing him on for one reason and one reason only.
Build the wall.
Veteran leadership. That's what you're really bringing him in there for. I don't know if you need that, though, with Dexter Lawrence there. And that's my only reason why I have him so far down the line. It's not even funny. Because when you already have a guy who's respected in this league and thought of as one of the best players in this league, known to be the best Giant right now, do you really need a veteran? Yeah, like you really need a veteran voice. So, but I'll include him because he is one of the better free agents available. And that says a lot for what kind of free agents are left being available at this point. Calais Campbell, call Joe Shane. Don't wait for him to call. Just call him. He will pick up, I promise. Tell him you love the apple. The big apple is... which brings us to our last portion.
Should we pay the bills?
Oh, I guess we should pay the bills, probably, right?
We should probably pay the bills.
I'm telling you, like, where are you earlier with this? I'm so bad at paying the bills lately. I really am. It's like real life.
Womp womp.
This is why my wife takes care of the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Alrighty, guys. So, yeah, one last segment here. The defensive line. Is it better or worse in 2024 compared to the 23 roster? You notice the picture we have there, those of you guys watching the video.
Should sum it up.
There. We see Leonard Williams in a Seattle Seahawk jersey there. I mean, let's be very frank, it's not. We lose Leonard Williams, who, listen, I know some Giant fans weren't the biggest fan of him, and it's mostly because of the trade and the money. It's kind of like the defensive line version of Daniel Jones in that respect. Like, he came in there, people hating him because we shouldn't have traded for him. And then people hated him because he got paid like $20 million a year because we were forced to pay him because Dave Gettleman put us in that hole by not tagging him. You know, and then we also lost A'Shawn Robinson, who, again, we talked about him a couple times this episode, saying, you know, he's kind of an average player. But let's be honest, we love an average player right now.
Yeah, it go a long way.
Yeah, you know, you look, obviously we got the best player on this team in Dexter Lawrence. You got Nacho, who underperformed last year. You got Jordan Phillips, who was getting a little long as a tooth at that point. It's kind of one-dimensional. And then you got DJ Davidson, Ryder Anderson, Jordon Riley, and Timmy Horne that you have no clue what the hell you're going to get of these guys. And you can't have high expectations of them. I don't think anybody watching or listening right now is going, oh, guys, we got DJ Davidson and Ryder Anderson. F that.
We'll see him at the Golden Corral.
We're set. Like, if you guys are excited by that, whew, you guys are way too easily excited. Let me assure you that. Because that's a little scary. And, you know, it's weird because I look at, like, there was a lot of talk like what do we need during the draft. We talked about QB, we talked about wide receiver, we talked about corner, we talked about tight end. I didn't hear nearly enough talk about the defensive line. And we did our mock drafts, we talked about it. We always said, hey, listen, the Giants have pretty much always drafted every year a defensive lineman. You kind of expect them to do it. They didn't do it. They didn't pull that trigger. Now they got a couple of undrafted free agents. Maybe they have some confidence in these guys here. Let's be very frank and say that you know, guys like Jordon Riley who were drafted towards the end of the 7th round. It's not that much difference between them and somebody who's undrafted. Really not.
They're wrong.
No. So, you know, we'll see what happens here. Hopefully one of these guys steps it up. Like I said, that's still my hope. Still my hope, my dream here is for one of these guys to step it up.
High hopes.
I've got.
You've got high hopes.
I'm high, but.
I'm so high right now.
So high. Everyone needs a towel.
Yeah. Your towel.
But yeah, it's been a lot of South Park references the last couple episodes. You realize that?
Really?
Between the Canadian QB and but yeah, guys, again, I think this is a group that I'm hoping we get at least one more player added to before the season starts up. You know, whether again it be a guy like Calais Campbell, who I would be so happy if we signed. It's not even funny, or getting a guy gets cut at that point, right at the end of the preseason. There, we need some help here, guys. And I don't hear it enough. And this is the position to me that just screams, I need help more than any other position on this roster. It really does. I know people are going to talk about corner. Listen, we've drafted some corners. Somebody's got to step it up. And I don't mean drafted corners like we did with the defensive line. We drafted a 7th round and a 5th round guy in the last couple of years. That's not stepping it up like that draft-wise. You're talking about drafting
corners?
3rd round. We're talking about 3rd round pick. No, I'm saying a defensive line. At corner, we've used a 1st round pick and a couple 3rd round picks. Like I
was going to say, I was like, wait a minute.
But defensive line, again, a 5th and a 7th.
Yeah,
we haven't gone crazy. You know, we really haven't. So I don't know, what to expect of this group. I think the expectations are kind of crazy to go, oh, well, these guys are fine. We got Ryder Anderson.
I don't think it's that's expectation.
Jordon Riley. We got this covered, man. Woo.
I think what they're trying to do is get a little more coverage on the receivers, which works hand in hand with your line and give them a little more time to get to the quarterback. But as soon as you get to the quarterback, it's harder for them to find the receiver. It's a balance, a little yin yang.
Listen, you can put in a good movie to give me some more time to go back up to Jersey here from Florida, but if you give me a bicycle to do it, it's going to take me a while still.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. They're a bicycle.
We'll find out how long it's going to take you.
I mean, these are when you draft people in the 5th round, 7th round, these are spots that you go, you know what? If these guys develop into a good backup, that's a win. That's the truth of the matter of those positions. When you draft somebody in the 5th round, 7th round, you're going, this would be a nice depth piece. Hopefully they play special teams well. Not, it would be great. Let's have a starting defensive line full of 5th rounders and 7th rounders. We have one really good one. The rest will be fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I kind of feel. I kind of feel like the group's been ignored a little bit, to be honest with you. Like I said, hopefully Nacho steps it up and goes back to what he was previously with the Bucks and the Chiefs and all. Hopefully one of these young guys at least steps up to be an average player. And again, you throw a couple average players in with Sexy Dexy there, and you have a good group. It's not there's no hope. It's just there's not a lot of hope.
Yeah, we got a little more than Luke Skywalker. All right.
Exactly. So, all right, guys. So that calls it a day here for the defensive line talk here. Appreciate you guys listening in. So obviously I am still on my cruise. So yeah, this is my
aloha.
This is my perfect day at Coco K Day. I'm right now while you're watching this on the boat outside of the Royal Caribbean private island. No, it's not a Coco thing. It's literally Royal Caribbean owns this island, and when you're on it, your drink package and everything goes with you.
Ooh!
So you're on the beach,
saucy,
chilling, swim up bar in the pool and everything. Unlimited drinks, unlimited food, unlimited everything.
It's dangerous.
It is very dangerous. I'm telling you, I'm going to come back from this trip like 50 pounds more. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah. But maybe I'll send a picture up of me of the boat there so you guys can see the boat at that point. It's a massive boat. This thing's ridiculous. It's like the largest cruise ship ever built, the Icon of the Seas. So, but again, I'll be back next week, which sounds weird to say because like next week
it's going to be 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks from when we're recording this, but it'll be next week when you guys
the time drop.
Yes, let's do the time warp again.
Put your hand on your hips. Step to the right.
All right. Before we start singing Meatloaf songs next, again.
I was about to say again. We
did. Yeah, we did. So maybe we'll pull off a Barry Bostwick next.
Tim Curry.
Anyway, so yeah. Oh yeah, Tim Curry. The guy's amazing. But yeah, so again, we'll be back then for that, and we'll continue our series there. Unless any Giants news happens there. I'll commend Robin, what I'm sure was a spectacular job he had Wednesday on the schedule release episode he did there. Kudos to you, Rob. It was spectacular by all reviews.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. So we will see you guys again Monday. Well, we'll be back live again. Appreciate you guys sticking with us through a couple of pre-recorded episodes this week here. We will be, as always, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, /X, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. Oh, yes. And as always, the next day we're available that morning on the audio podcast platform. So iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, all the big ones there. So do us a favor if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe button.
All the subscribies.
All the subscribers. We need all the subscribers, guys.
Yes.
We appreciate it very much of that. And if you're listening on podcasts there in Apple, feel free to leave us a review as well, because that definitely helps. Unless you're going to leave a bad one, because then don't.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. We encourage honesty, but Mom always said, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah. Just don't say it at all.
Exactly. So yeah, again, we'll be back again with you guys there on Monday, continuing our list there of all the positions here. Appreciate you guys listening. As always, have a happy, safe weekend there. And as always, Giant fans,
Go Demon!
go Demon!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.